Okay, so you ready for today? So this is week 4 in the Songs of Life. Richard is on sabbatical, 3 days in silent retreat. Thank God it's not me. Can you imagine me 3 days in the silence? I do 24 hours, then say, thank you very much for coming. It's time for you to go home. So he's finishing up his 3 days in the silence. Our only fear is that Jimmy and I are worried that he's going to come back with more jokes. So the question that I have for you today, are you ready? My question for you today is, do you have a personal belief system, a creed that you live by? And if you do, is it actually written down, or do you just kind of make it up every day? You know, every day we kind of change it, whatever the whim is. Or do you actually have a set of beliefs that you've written down that you really committed your life to living by? See, one of the things that happens in Unity is we're not here to tell you what to believe, but we're here to really help you look at your belief system and ask the question, is that working? Is that belief really working for you? We'll present new beliefs and then challenge you to say, is that something that you want to integrate? Because for most of us, our belief system is at best a patchwork. You know, we learned some of the things from maybe when we were growing up, from our religious experiences we had when we were kids. We learned some from our family, some from our friends, some from Dr. Phil, some from Wayne Dyer. You know, we've learned all these beliefs, and sometimes when we look at our beliefs, some of our beliefs, have you ever looked at something that you actually believe in and think, that's just weird? Like, it's just weird. I really believe that, but it's just wrong. It's weird. But you've believed it for so long that unless you take a step back and really look at it, you just assume that it's right. Have you ever looked at something that you really believe in and think, wow, that's not helpful. It's not really moving my life forward. And today, we're going to talk about those simple beliefs that create our reality. When I was in ministerial school, when I was in seminary, every semester we'd have to write our personal creed. We'd have to write a paper based on what we believed about the nature of God, the nature of humanity, cosmology, all the aspects of our theology. We'd have to write them down, because part of writing them down is you actually get to see what it is that you believe. You get to see it outside of yourself. And what I seem to be true in my life is the older I get, the simpler my theology becomes. The simpler my personal creed becomes. When someone asked Dalai Lama about his religion, he said, my religion is kindness. And it doesn't really get much simpler than that, right? To boil it down to the most simple, but the most profound essence of what we believe. Today we're looking at Carole King's Beautiful. And what's interesting about this song is that she never intended to write it. She was in the subways of New York, and she had this spontaneous realization, and the whole song was just right there. It was not an attempt to write it. It was just unconscious. It was presented itself. It became was released in 1971 under the award-winning album Tapestry. How many of you had a copy of Tapestry? I mean, look at how many hands, right? How many people had that album, right? When it was still an album, when it was still in vinyl, right? And some still have it, right? And then in 2014, it became the title song on the Broadway musical, Carole King the Musical. And what I love about this song is in 5 lines, she articulates her philosophy of life. In 5 lines. In 5 lines, she tells you absolutely what she believes of the key to being successful in life. Those 5 lines are, you've got to get up every morning with a smile on your face and show the world all the love in your heart. And then people are going to treat you better. You're going to find, yes, you will, that you're beautiful as you feel. So let's take this line by line. You've got to get up every morning with a smile on your face. How you doing with that one? Right? Because what I want you to see is that for many of us, our emotional life is controlled, if you will, by things outside of our control. And there's a spiritual process, a spiritual awakening that happens when you realize that you are 100% responsible for what you're feeling. And at that moment, we move from being a victim to being in charge. So the question that I have for you is, are you in charge of your own emotions? Or is your spouse, your ex-spouse, your parents, your children, your employer, your employee, are they the ones that are pushing your buttons and making you feel a certain way? And what I want you to see today is that everything begins to change when you know that you're in control of what you feel. Will you say with me, I'm in charge of what I feel? Together? I'm in charge of what I feel. Now let's say it like we're actually excited about it, okay? I'm in charge of what I feel. One more time. I'm in charge of what I feel. Now, she's not saying get up every morning with overflowing joy, right? What she says is get up every morning with a smile on your face. Now, who has control over whether there's a smile on your face? Is it you or is it somebody else? See, I want you to see that this is really a step to mastery. When we master our emotions, we've mastered 95% of life. When you decide every day how you're going to show up, you begin to win at life over and over and over again. And who gets to decide every day if you show up with a smile on your face? You know, there's actually research on smiling. There's actually research on smiling that they can now prove that smiling changes your mood. Not that you smile, that you actually smile, you actually get happier. If you smile, you actually get happier. So we think about, we get happy, and then what? We smile. The research shows that if you smile first, it actually changes and elevates your mood. That if you're willing to smile, so let's just do it. Right? I want you to turn to the people around you, and I want you just to put on your best toothy smile. And I want you to just look at them and smile. Just look at them and smile. Come on. Come on, let's see it. Now, notice the energy in the room, right? What happens? You're a little bit uncomfortable about smiling, but the energy in the room goes up. The research shows that there are 7 things that happen when you smile. The first one, it makes you more attractive. They can prove it. They've actually done tests on this. That cracks me up. They've actually done tests on this. They've taken pictures of people smiling and not smiling. And then they had people rate them on their attractiveness. And people that were smiling were rated significantly more attractive. If you're not feeling great in your outfit today, if you smile, we will never know. We will just never know, right? So 1, smiling makes you more attractive. 2, it changes your mood. 3, it's contagious. 4, it relieves stress. 5, it boosts your immune system. It boosts your immune system. 6, it lowers your blood pressure. And 7, it releases endorphins and serotonins, which both are pain management tools just from smiling. I mean, that's a lot out of a smile. I mean, you're getting a lot of bang for your buck because it's free. All you have to do is smile, right? So the number 1 thing she says is what? Get up every morning with a smile on your face. The next line, and show the world what? All the love in your heart. Now, this is another kicker, right? Because how are you doing at loving? And what I'm talking about is how you doing at loving everybody, not just the people that are easy to love. Are you getting a little lazy in your heart? Or are you really being generous with love? This is what Jesus said in Matthew 5. You've heard it said that you should love your neighbors and hate your enemies. But I say to you, love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you, so that you may be sons of your Father who is in heaven. For he makes the sun rise on the evil and on the good. He sends rain on the just and on the unjust. For if you love those who love you, what reward have you? Don't even the tax collectors do the same? And if you salute only your brethren, what more are you doing than others? Don't even the Gentiles do the same? You therefore must be perfect, as your heavenly Father is perfect. So how much love do you have in your heart? You got a lot or little? A lot or little? What I'd like to suggest is you have an infinite amount of love. Because you're connected to God, there's an infinite amount of love in you. And only when we open our heart does that infinite love of God begin to flow. And what I'd really like you to see today is that the more we are stingy with love, the more our life doesn't work. Can you, everybody think of at least one area in your life, or one person, one situation, where you know that you've been holding back on love? Many times it's what the mindset is, well, they don't really love me, so I'm not really responsible for loving them. They're really not nice to me, so I'm not really responsible for being nice or kind to them. And what I'd like you to see today is that your power is in your choice. Your freedom is in your choice. What you choose with your face, with your heart, changes everything. So the question becomes, how much are you willing to love? How many of you have ever read one of the Og Mandino books? Anybody read The Greatest Salesman? Remember in The Greatest Salesman, in fact it was scroll number 2, where he talks about putting a smile on your face and love in your heart every day to go greet the world? And what he talks about is that that's actually the formula for success. The more that we're willing to do these two simple things, the more that we actually increase the probability of success. How many of you have been around here for a while? Right? How many of you feel like you're fairly, that you know spiritual principles? Right? How many of you have been hungry for your next one? Right? What I'd like to do today is take you back to the beginning. And I'd like you to see today that these two principles change everything. You want to know what your next spiritual step is? Smile more. You want to know what your next spiritual practice is? Open your heart to people who don't deserve it. Because as we smile and open our heart, we change the actual consciousness of our planet. And especially if you're not getting what you want. If your life is not functioning at the level you want, if you're not feeling as blessed as you want to feel, if you don't have as much good in your life as you truly would like, today I'm going to suggest over and over again that you simply do two things more. That you smile. It costs nothing. And you open your heart, because in the act of opening your heart, the infinite love of God flows through you. And then what does she say? What's the third line? Do you remember? Then people are going to treat you better. Right? That's the promise. Over and over again, that's the promise. As you give, so shall you receive. So as you smile more and love more, what she promises you is that people are absolutely going to treat you better. Because it's hard to be cranky with somebody who has a grin from ear to ear and is gushing with love. I mean, it's hard to be rude to them, right? They're just so happy. They're so in love with us. It's like, well, I got to give them what they want. Even if I don't want to, right? Because there's this moment in all of our lives where in the presence of that much joy and that much love, our crankiness dissolves. Can you think of a time in your life where you were really committed to being cranky? Committed to being cranky. And in the presence of somebody else's smile and their love, it's like, does that really make sense? Is that really a good choice? I am so committed to this today that if you're not getting the results that you want from life, I want you to bring it all the way back to the simplest step. How much are you smiling? Are you in control of every day of the smile on your face? And how much are you loving? Because that love opens the door to the infinite. And then what does she say? The fourth and the fifth line. You're going to find, yes you will, that you're as beautiful as you feel. Now, in the ancient world, in Greek and Roman times, beauty was the most significant path to God. Beauty was taught as the way to know God. They spent a lot of time and energy trying to perfect the body. They created great architecture. Everything was about how beautiful can we make it, because beauty was their path to God. Now, in Christianity, we kind of frowned on that, right? The idea was it was okay for God to be beautiful, but somehow it wasn't so much okay for us to be beautiful, because we felt if we were too beautiful, what would happen? Anybody? We'd be vain, right? And we thought that was so bad, right, that we started telling people to become more plain, right? And the reality is, I want you to hear this, that if you have to turn your light down for God to look better, that's not God. God is so beautiful that as you release your own beauty, God looks even more beautiful. That there are three levels of beauty in our world. There's the natural beauty of life, of trees, of nature, of the desert, the Grand Canyon, the ocean, sunsets. There's the natural beauty, the beauty of each other, right? There's the beauty that we create in our architecture, in our homes, in our clothes. And then there's the spiritual beauty. And spiritual beauty reminds us over and over of God. And what she says is that you will know your own beauty by doing two things: smiling and giving all the love in your heart. If you want to feel more beautiful, she says, do two things: smile and open your heart. And you will know your most beautiful self. We were in a restaurant this weekend, and there was a young teenager, and it looked like she and her mom had been out shopping, and they had between them lots of packages and stuff, and they were having lunch, and we were outside. And sometimes, when you're at an outside table, the tables are so close that even if you don't want to listen, it's hard not to. It's hard not to. And the mom and the daughter were having a conversation, and everything the mom said, the daughter would pout about. She was probably 13 or 14. She's pout about. Now, what I'm about to say, that one of the basic spiritual principles is judge not, right? Judge not. So what I'm about to say is not a judgment, it's just a perception, right? Right? So here's this child, beautiful young girl, has a package full of stuff. Her mom is talking to her, and everything she's saying, she's getting more and more pouty about it. And it's like, what I want you to see is that is not just an issue for 13-year-old girls. That all of us tend to be a little bit more pouty than we like to acknowledge. And what if today you were willing to take complete responsibility for how you feel? And put a smile on your face and actually practiced giving all the love in your heart. What Carole King says is people will absolutely treat you differently, and you will know your own beauty. So you ready for your homework? Okay, for 1 week, till Richard gets back, and then you can do whatever you want to do. Don't tell him I said that, but you can, right? You can do whatever you want to do. I think we're doing Harry Chapin, Cats in the Cradle next week, right? So next week, you can do whatever you want. But this week, I got you. You're mine. And this week, are you ready? Every day, you're going to take complete responsibility for how much you can smile. And if your face begins to cramp up, if there are muscles that you haven't used in years and years and years, it'll be okay. About the third or fourth day, they'll get stronger. Right? Take an aspirin. You'll be okay, right? Talk to Dr. Connie. She'll help you out. Right? But you're going to smile. You're going to smile at everybody, whether they earn it or not. Whether you like their behavior or not. Whether you're happy or not. You're going to actually smile. You know there's a whole Buddhist meditation about smiling? Just smiling. There's no chanting. You don't have to focus on your belly button. All you have to do is smile as the whole focus of the meditation. So for this week, you're going to smile. And then you're going to open your heart to everyone. To everyone. And you're going to see if your life does not get better in every way. You got to get up in the morning with a smile on your face and show the world all the love in your heart. And people are going to treat you different. Yes? Yes, they will. Because you're as beautiful as you feel. Will you pray with me? I invite you to open your mind, your heart, your soul to the activity of God that is right here, right now. Today we become the masters of our lives. We take dominion over our smile and over opening our hearts. That we can actually change our life by giving more. By being more present, more alive. Even a greater channel for God. In the name and through the power of the living Christ, we give thanks. And so it is. Amen. God bless you all. Have a great week. Thanks for being here.